This Korean movie, Spiritwalker 2021, is talking about a man Kong Ian whose spirit switches body every 12 hours. The movie started with a man who had an accident becoming conscious to find a beggar taking his camera recorder and other valuables he had in the car and also called him an ambulance. The man reached the hospital only to find out that he had no memory of who he was or who he was supposed to be when a policewoman interrogated him. After the policewoman left, the man took the house keycard he saw in his pocket and went to the house. In the house he finds out that his name was Ji Chul-ho. He sat down and looked at the clock. It was a few seconds to noon, and suddenly his surroundings started changing and his clothes too. He suddenly appeared in a restaurant where he was sitting with an elderly lady. He screams and leave the restaurant. Outside the restaurant, he looked at the glass only to find out that he had changed again. He finds an ID card in his suit pocket and compared it with the work identity card hanging on his neck and it says his name is Lee Shin-woo. He decides to go to the address on the work ID card. There he meets people calling him Chief Lee and he ran away. Later that night, he located the beggar that called the ambulance for him. He tried to explain to the beggar that he does not know who he is and that he is not the owner of the body he is currently in. Even though the beggar did not believe him, he advised him to go back to the beginning so that he can find out where he was headed to. Just then Kong Ian assumed the body of director Park Young-woo who was torturing and questioning Ji Chul-ho because he helped Kong Ian. Kong Ian went out of the room and saw that the place was a lounge. He went to look at the toilet mirror only to find out that he has changed into another body. He checked his time immediately and it was midnight. Remembering what the beggar told him to go back to the beginning, he went to the junkyard where his car was impounded and found the picture of a woman. He went to the church in the picture to look for the woman. He found the woman pointing a gun at him asking him where Kong Ian was. He tried to explain his current situation but the lady does not believe him. She fled as soon as some people entered the church. He runs after her immediately but she was gone. He went back to the lounge and met a waiter called Soon Young who took him to Go Jong-sa, one of director Park's goons. Kong Ian notices it will be noon soon. He shows Go Jong-sa the picture of the woman he met at the church and asks for her address. Go Jong-sa recognizes her as Moon Jing-ah. Just then Kong Ian switched to another body and woke up in manager Yoo Jong-young's body. He wrote down the address on his palms and went out to search for it. He located Moon Jing-ah's house and finds his ID card. He also figured that all the people he was entering their body knew Kong Ian. He heard Moon Jing-ah enter the house and he went to hide. A man attacked her and he goes to help her fight the man when Go Jong-sa entered and started attacking her. After fighting for a while, they both ran outside and drove away in the car that Kong Ian came with while Go Jong-sa chased after them. In the car, Moon Jing-ah tried to persuade manager Yoo to tell him where Kong Ian was. Kong Ian tried to explain to Moon Jing-ah his situation and that he was also the one that confronted her in church but instead she threatens manager Yoo and ran away. Kong Ian went to Go Jong-sa who was being interrogated by the police for overspeeding to ask him about Kong Ian. Go Jong-sa told him that the last time he saw Kong Ian was when he left in the car that had an accident. He went back to the beggar to recover the recorder he took from his car at the time of the accident but the beggar has sold him so he took Kong Ian to where he sold it. Kong Ian used a credit card in the name of manager Yoo to pay the vendor since he didn't have cash. Director Park Young-woo got the notification of the credit card and sent his goons to capture manager Yoo. Kong Ian was given a carton containing different memory cards as they couldn't ascertain which one was his. He asked the vendor for permission to check the memory cards there and he agreed. It was a few minutes before midnight when he found the footage he was looking for, but director Park's goons were already there so he had to run with the beggar. Not long after they ran separate ways, the beggar was caught. Kong Ian was running to go save the beggar when he ran into a moving vehicle. Just as he was about to be hit, he switched into Go Jong-sa's body with Park sitting beside him. Kong Ian looked into the car mirror to notice that he had become Go Jong-sa. He looked at the road and noticed Moon Jing-ah in a car a few meters ahead of them and followed her. Immediately Park received a call from director Park and said they will bring Moon Jing-ah to him. Kong Ian stops the car in the middle of the road. Immediately he heard that and drove the car into a parked trailer wounding Park. He went to the lounge to save the beggar and stopped the beggar from blabbering everything he knows. Director Park notices that Go Jong-sa is acting different so he tried to verify his identity. Kong Ian left with the beggar to figure out that his body was somewhere in Namgyeonju but Moon Jing-ah and director Park also got the same information from their sources. Kong Ayan and the beggar arrived at Namgyeonju first and started searching for his body. He found where his body was being treated, went to touch his face and started having flashbacks. In the flashbacks, he was among the team of CIS agents who went to bust a drug ring distributing the drugs named Eaterex, but when they got there, the drugs were gone, leaving behind dead bodies. Eaterex was explained as a new drug from Thailand which places you in a near-death state of mind, like you are separated from your body. It has small capsules which enter your bloodstream and rupture every 12 hours to keep hallucinations in effect. It can also make you lose your memory and die. Kong Ayan reports Manager Yu, who was accused of being a mole and leaking inside information. Manager Yu tries to clear his name, slips a USB drive into Kong Ayan's pocket and begged him to check it while Director Park with his goons pulled up to arrest Manager Yu. Kong Ayan went to pick up his wife Moon Jing-ah and told her everything that happened with Manager Yu, and he was feeling down for reporting him. As Moon Jing-ah was sympathizing with him, a call from a head office entered her phone. She told Kong Ayan that they'll talk later at home. Kong Ayan decided to watch the drive that Manager Yu gave him when he reached home. The video was about corrupt police officers illegally killing drug peddlers to claim their drugs. His wife called him immediately, and when he picks, he heard Director Park's voice instead. Kong Ayan arrived at the location to see his wife on the ground together with Manager Yu, so he started fighting to reach her, but he was shot in the leg. He continued fighting, so Director Park asked his goons to inject him with a full syringe of Eaterex. He could barely move, so they took the USB drive from him and started burning him. Then they tried to make him kill his wife. He resisted, so they gave him another full syringe of Eaterex and put his hand on the gun and held it to his wife's head. Just then, the time hit midnight and his spirit entered Ji Chul-ho's body and started shooting the other goons while trying to save Moon Jing-ah. She shot Ji Chul-ho on the shoulder when he tried stopping her from going back for Kong Ayan. Kong Ayan was confused only to see from the glass of his car that he was Ji Chul-ho. He went back inside, but they had taken Jing-ah. He carried his body to the car and took it to Latree for treatment and drove back to the highway where he had an accident due to the gunshot wound. By the time he came back from the flashback, Jing-ah and Director Park together with his goons were already there. He took the half-burnt flash drive and gave it to the beggar to take care of it and went to save Jing-ah. The beggar took the flash drive and Kong Ayan's body to the car they came with and left. Chief Lee and Director Park took Jing-ah back to the lounge where Director Park shot and killed Chief Lee for incessantly humiliating him. Meanwhile, they put Kong Ayan still in the body of Go Jong-sa together with Park and Manager Yu in a car that was pushed into the lake to drown. Kong Ayan tried to look for a way to escape when he realized that the people he switched into their bodies were all present on the day they tried to kill him. It was also close to noon. He helped Park escape. Back at the lounge, we see Director Park sniffing drugs after killing Chief Lee. Soon he joins Chief Chung and the buyer of the Eaterex they had gathered illegally. As the deal was going on, a gunshot was heard. Kong Ayan entered Park's body and came to save Jing-ah. When they realized it was Park killing the goons, Chief Chung got angry and started nagging Director Park, who shot her and shot the buyer of the Eaterex. Then, suspecting that something was wrong, he went to bring Jing-ah and used her to lure Kong Ayan out. While Director Park and Kong Ayan were fighting, Jing-ah, who was in so much pain, crawled on the ground to reach for a gun and shot Director Park in the face. In the end, Jing-ah believed that it was Kong Ayan that tried to save her through different men. She gave the USB drive to the police and nursed her husband.